Hey, ADNC fam. Sorry for the delays. When you go live, things can happen at the 11th hour, and things just were happening because life be lifing, right?
Right.
But thank you so much for joining me, Emma Ansah, and I'm here with my colleague on African Diaspora News Channel, Theo E.J. Wilson.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's Friday.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, as I like to call it.
Right. Let's go.
Friday, the
Mhm.
weekend. How you
Mhm.
doing, Theo?
I'm doing good. Listen, my mind is about collective consciousness right now. I'm tuning into what this documentary has done to and for the culture. But more than anything, the lessons that we are learning collectively as a people and as a humanity, and what these teachers are teaching us. So it's like I'm analyzing it probably at a slightly deeper level than most people are because they seem to be having fun. But I'm like, nah, there's real game getting laid down. I hope y'all paying attention.
Yeah, and I because we spoke before we decided to
Right.
do this together, and I had said that I had not watched the documentary because
Mhm.
I couldn't bring myself to watch it. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and watch it. Seeing as we're gonna talk about it, I may as well
Right.
watch it. And I watched it last night. I binge watched all 4 episodes, and I
Woo!
I gotta tell you, I think 2 things. First of all, I thought that it was gonna be much more graphic, much more, you know,
Mhm.
gritty, and
Mhm.
it wasn't that to me. It definitely
Mhm.
wasn't that. I felt like the salacious things we saw in the news were even worse than the
Right.
documentary, in my opinion. What I liked about the documentary is it went back, way back, like way
Mhm.
back, and
All the
came
way back.
forward. And then on top of that, you didn't only hear from women, you heard from men. You heard from people that were very close to him,
Right.
spilling the tea,
Mhm.
and it was really eye-opening. It was really, really eye-opening. And
I
and
think
it,
so too.
it begged the question about so many things, like so many things that we're gonna talk about.
Right.
But
What was your major burning question about the Diddy doc, as they say?
well, there's a few questions.
Hmm.
I First of all, I knew that there was all these rumors floating around about
Hmm.
the death of Tupac and the death of Biggie.
Mm.
And a lot off like there was a lot of rumors that were saying that he was probably involved in that, but I
Hmm.
didn't really give that any life until I
Mm.
saw the documentary. So now I'm saying, well, hold on a second.
Right.
Right? That's one thing. And then secondly, just in general, knowing his background, like his
Hmm.
because it doesn't seem like he had the best upbringing, right?
Right.
Um, so knowing his background, some of it makes sense why he's the way he is, but at
Hmm.
the same time, my question was, why is it that some people can have a checkered life and go through what they went through growing up, but then they either make a better life for themselves, right?
Right.
Their takeaway from that experience is they make a better life for themselves. They become successful and powerful, but they don't treat their children the way that they were treated, and they really set a better example, right? And then you have people like him that come out of that and they are just like basically
Terrorists. Yeah.
perpetuating what it is that they went through, right? So
Right.
that was the other question. Like, what happens to certain people that they end up, in this state? So
Well,
those were my two questions,
I think I think those are fair questions. Like it said that the same boiling water that softens a potato boils an egg. It's often not about the circumstance, but what's inside of a person. I think that Diddy was in a situation where he didn't have the tools to fill the father wound within him when his father was murdered. And I'm going to start there because I made a video on my channel about the domino effect that, as you know, there's this thing called the butterfly effect,
Mhm.
scientifically proven. And it's when a butterfly flaps its wings in Hong Kong, it creates a hurricane in Jamaica, right? The cascading domino effect of Melvin Combs, they called him Pretty Boy Melvin. He was a part of Frank Lucas, the American gangster that Denzel Washington played.
Frank Lucas, yes.
Right. He was part of Frank Lucas's organization. And just the killing of Melvin Combs, some people say that it was because he was snitching. Some people say he was executed as a message to Frank Lucas from the Gambino crime family. But either way, he's dead. And nobody knew that his little son would grow to be the man known as P. Diddy. And so a lot of brothers and sisters who are adjacent to the street life end up envying the street life. Like, and we got to make sure that we make a clear delineation between a street dude and a street adjacent dude, right? Because Melvin Combs was a street dude. Sean Combs went to Howard. Sean Combs had a path to resources and power that didn't have nothing to do with the street. But as you see in episode 1, he envied a street dude, and a lot of street adjacent people envy that kind of dark power that street dudes have. So he ends up taking on that persona. And it's interesting to me how that combined with his father wound, his daddy not present, and that envy of street power led him, a street adjacent dude, to being a low-key kingpin in the street. And it's now all catching up to him. And I can go into other parts of that, but I think we need to study the dark domino effect of how one act of darkness can cascade into so many other dominoes of darkness that we really can't see at the moment that act of darkness is committed.
And it's also about, if you're down, like you're, as I said, his life wasn't great.
Right.
What happens when you get back up, right? And like you said, he's got a lot of internal wounds.
Right.
He obviously didn't do the internal work, to really deal with whatever it is that's going on with him. And by the way, these are not excuses I'm making for him. I'm just saying, in watching the documentary and hearing about, his past and his childhood upbringing and stuff, it just made me ask more questions, right? But like I said, there are people who have gone through way worse things, and they still manage to turn their life around because they're not carrying the weight of that, that life or the hurt, and they're not perpetuating the hurt people, sort of process and mindset. Hey, Renz, how you doing? Renz says afternoon, EA sis and TW bro.
What's
how
happening,
you doing?
Good,
Hi,
good.
Estrella Garcia. How are you doing? Thanks for joining. So with that, we kind of just set the stage. We shared some thoughts. I just wanted to play a short clip of 50 because we know he is the brainchild behind this documentary.
Right.
Okay. And he was in an interview and he just talked about it and just talking about the documentary and what have you. It's quite long, but I cut it down to what I thought were the key parts. So we'll just play that and then we'll talk about it further.
Yep.
Story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. You go further, you've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running. Let's take a look.
It's the middle of September and there's still no indictment.
Bro. Then you have to have a spokesman. You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. Because you may just be a person that you just may watch CNN. So you at the wrong place looking to see what the people with the possible jurors are thinking. It could be somebody that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media and propaganda.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
What he said.
and what do you think it conveys? Because we see someone trying to pull the strings and talking about, he would say affecting, others would say manipulating the public views of the allegations.
I think that, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, when his life is on the line? So I think that, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, perhaps how some of these tactics, how they really came to present themselves, during the trial.
You show that, his abilities, his early rise. Right. Alexandra, you also give time to victims of the alleged abuse. Some of the cases are in different procedural postures. And you show victims who were women and men. Why is that important?
Because, victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, that should, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim. And I think that, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth, put context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, and we just the world was going for the salacious headlines, and they really had the time to tell their story.
So a few things that I wanted to say. First of all, I don't even understand why that journalist was asking why it's not gender specific. I mean, why is that even a question? If somebody has been essayed, they've been essayed, whether it's man, woman, or child. Right. So I really wasn't understanding that question. But anyway, that was just a side note that I took in my mind. It's like, why are we asking that? But more importantly, he was trying to find out how he got this information. And that just speaks to, I guess the power of that 50 Cent has. Right. Where he was able to get this tea that I'm sure Diddy did not think that he would ever get.
Would ever see the light of day with that.
Exactly.
Well, look, we actually know, Emma, we actually know how this came about. And this was reported by one of the bodyguards who was featured in the documentary, whose name escapes me right now. But essentially, Diddy didn't pay the filmmakers. He did not pay them. Yeah. These were young guys, right?
Yep,
and
that is why. Yep.
Right. So it's like, first and foremost, how must it feel? Now you riding along with Diddy. Diddy making calls to his girl like, yo, I'm about to deposit a check for like 60 mil. I'm about to deposit a check for like 200 mil. Okay, well, where's my money, brother? Where's it from? Oh, don't you owe me something? So here's what we're gonna talk about, the relationship of how, because this is what we call real life power, the diabolical way that 50 Cent defeated Diddy. All he did was, in a chess game, he took advantage of the holes in his game. What 50 did with this situation is he essentially set pawns up to trap the larger pieces. He took low-hanging fruit that the king on the other side of the board wasn't paying attention to. And part of the reason 50 was able to exploit this is because Diddy, a whole addict out here. Diddy, as we saw later in the documentary, he got ketamine and MDMA and ecstasy, cocaine, he got all of it. So if you're trying to be a smart chess master, right? If you're trying to think 3 steps ahead, you can't do that if you're pouring ketamine on your computer, homie. So he's living a life of carnal indulgence, and he greedy. So at that point, you got an enemy out there like 50 Cent. All he's got to do is encircle you with pawns, and you trip on your own sword. That's how I see this power move taking place.
Yeah, but I 50 would have to have been able to get hold of people. And, with that comes when you have a little bit of, listen, 50 is another example of somebody who came up with a rough upbringing. He's been shot so many times, whatever.
Let's talk about
and look what he's built for himself. So he's a powerful man in the, media and film space now, right? And TV. So he definitely was able to, and then also probably throw some good money at them because they didn't get paid by Diddy. So it was like, oh, I'm not loyal to him. So here you go.
Right. How do you expect loyalty without payment, Diddy?
Yeah.
How do you expect and this is one of the things the bodyguard said. He was like, yo, son, Not everybody gonna be in love with you. Not everybody gonna think that you just the best thing since sliced bread. Like if you out here straight up violating people in a way that's unconscionable to the average person and you're not paying them, there is only a matter of time before those secrets start to slip away. And let's talk about 50's upbringing, right? Because 50 from Queens, right? 50's mom ends up being taken out of his life at a very, very early age. 50's raised by his grandparents, right? And anybody who know that if you street adjacent or living in a street life and you raised by your grandparents, they really don't know what's going on with you. 50 is known to be a heavy hitter in the boxer gym, right? 50 goes to the gym all the time. So if you look at young pictures of 50, 51 of them, I don't know if you ever seen this. They're just be young dudes that got muscles without trying. They just genetically
Oh
get it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So much
man.
of that here. I'll be like, what? How? You're
He
10.
ain't even working out, and you got muscles that you don't even work for. So he's already what we call a hard body dude just genetically. Next thing you know, he's running the streets, so he actually knows how to fight if it goes hand to hand. And he's just got a different kind of character arc. 50, I feel like, is the counterbalance. Like if you look at these like samurai stories, there'll be one samurai and then there'll be another samurai. Before they even meet each other, they live parallel lives. So now we're looking at street dudes in New York City, and you got this other samurai out here who is actually like Diddy was street adjacent. His pops was street, but he was street adjacent. 50 was a street dude, an actual all the way street dude. And when he starts rapping and he, you know, his enemies show their face, he gets shot 9 times. 50 gets put on his back and he has time to reflect. And shortly thereafter, he gets signed by Eminem. He gets on the Aftermath. And we know that he starts to study the power game. He studies the power game. And he's got a really hardcore understanding of cutthroat power. If you've seen Get Rich or Die Trying. And then he begins to maneuver that into a place where he can actually make money for himself. And he's not an addict. He ain't snorting, bumping coke every 5 seconds and doing ketamine. And his computer is clear. And he don't forget. Just like Diddy, 50 don't forget. And if you slight him like Diddy slighted him, because we could talk about what Diddy did to get on 50's bad side, including possible
Wanting to take
connections
him
with it.
shopping.
Huh?
Wanting to take him shopping.
That's one of them, but
There's more.
allegedly
Yes.
Diddy did worse than that. And we talk about that.
Yes. So speaking of 50,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that have entered the group chat, including Marlon Wayans. And Marlon Wayans was asked, he said he was asked, I guess, what his opinion was about this whole thing with 50, doing this documentary. And Marlon's response, well, I would say the few words that really caused the firestorm is when he said he's kicking Diddy when he's down. And everybody's like, well, you saying he's kicked Diddy when he's down? What about how he kicked Cassie when she was down? And so many people that are talking about him, assaulting them either physically or essaying them. And what about those people? And so he actually went on camera to respond, to, I guess, bring some context to what he was saying. So let's listen to what he has to say and we'll talk about it.
I'm going to make it abundantly clear. I'm not here defending Diddy. I am here because I got dragged into this because somebody asked me a question and I had an opinion. Nobody's wrong for giving an opinion about any subject, period. I'm not here defending Diddy. Don't let the narrative fool you or get to you. Once again, somebody's creating narratives. This is my point. So please look at the whole clip that I did and then look what happens with the narrative. And that's what I'm telling you. Y'all people don't be sheep. Use your brain, use your freedom of thought, freedom of speech, and don't ever let nobody bully you. Never. Don't let nobody bully you. You got me? Love. Now back to trolling this troll. All right.
So in my humble opinion, I did listen to the whole thing. And my thing is, I think everybody's just grabbing those few words, and they didn't move on from those few words because you use the words kicked him when he's down.
Okay.
So it's like, well, what do you mean? He's down for his actions. So who's kicking him when he's down? I mean, he's been tried, he's been convicted, he's incarcerated.
Right.
So I mean, he can't get any lower unless they put him underneath the jail, right?
Right.
He can't
Right.
get any lower than that. So I think people are like, how dare you? How dare you say that?
Man, listen, this is where media training comes in. In the little media training that I've had, I'm surprised that much larger celebrity, I'm barely a celebrity at all, have people who have like, decades in the game and millions of followers haven't had the kind of media training. And what this is about is positioning. Brother Marlon, you got to read the room, homie, and be careful about positioning yourself to defend somebody who is basically indefensible, right? And so understanding that you got to be wise about how people respond when victimizers of any sort start to get their comeuppance, because there are so many victims out here. And let's say there is some nuance, Brother Marlon, I'm going to put this on for size. Let's say that there is some nuance that needs to be discussed and we need to flesh it out. People can't really read nuance when they're triggered. And this documentary, if you
Oh
hadn't
my gosh.
done your work, was going to trigger the hell out of you. So
Triggering big time.
big time. So it's like you really got to read the room better and kind of just understand that like certain things may be required to say, certain other things may not be required to say. And now 50 then brought it out that, Marlon was at the Diddy parties when he said that he had either not gone to the Diddy parties or left early or something like that. But the fact is, Diddy was playing an Epstein game. And there's a lot of people who are tied to his fate and a lot of people who may be nervous about who he'll tell and what he has thus told and what footage that 50 also has that hasn't been aired yet, because that's been a revelation as well.
Yeah, he did say that he had a lot, and they kind of had to pick, choose, and refuse what they were actually going to air. And then
140 hours.
Right. And then he made a comment when he was on the Sherry Shepherd show. He made a comment talking about maybe on YouTube there will be a part 2. Right. So he's got a lot. He has a lot. And my thing is, I would not poke the bear. Okay. And speaking of poking the bear, apparently Diddy is now launching a $1 billion lawsuit against Netflix. So it's like, yeah, and 50 has said that they consulted lawyers and everything. Like they made sure that they are covered. So that should be interesting if there is some sort of lawsuit. And my thing is, how are you launching a lawsuit? You're behind bars for the next little while. Like, what's the point?
Really, what is the point? And not only that, but I know a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Netflix would have covered their bases, dotted their I's, and crossed their T's long before they release anything salacious. And here's the thing about this, and this is why I highly doubt that any lawsuit from Diddy will be successful, is because he told on himself. Look at here. This is what else is likely about to come out. This is the other shoe that's likely about to drop. What on earth was Diddy doing with a third party in the room with the camera filming private conversations with his lawyer? That is a violation of attorney-client privilege. You ain't supposed to be with a third party, because look, Diddy runs the risk, and this has been discussed, he may get sued by his own lawyer, right? There are 77 other cases, as they said at the end of the documentary, pending from alleged victims. And you have the possibility, this is what I said in my live stream about this, that the estate of Tupac Shakur very may well take the testimony of Keefe D, who tied all the pieces together, and now sue Diddy over this. And you got to look at this, right? Not only did 50 Cent have Keefe D's testimony, 50 Cent also had an agent's testimony. I don't know if you remember that Caucasian gentleman that was talking during the time of Keefe D's testimony, but literally You have a situation right now, and shout out to my sister Dominique who brought this to my attention, where why would a federal case, whether it comes from a prosecutor or whatever, do the legwork of interviewing all the witnesses when the documentary did it for them? R. Kelly didn't fall until the documentary was released. So now a documentarian gathers up all the data for you. All you got to do is be like, hey, documentary maker, go ahead and shoot me a list of folks, right? I want to interview them too. In order, you could just use that. It's all testimonials, right? And rather than interviewing them again, you could just issue them like affidavits that said, do you swear under oath that the testimony that you've given is false under penalty of prosecution? And now the documentary did the work for you. Tupac's estate could be like, you know what? This is all the probable cause I need to launch another lawsuit. It's possibly checkmate for Diddy. Possibly absolute checkmate, because if these other cases launch, and especially if the estate of Tupac Shakur sues Diddy for this, I don't see this cat getting out. And if he gets out, he may go right back in.
And that's the thing. And what what mystifies me is, okay, Diddy, this documentary is only going to just embolden more people.
Right.
So even if nobody else is speaking, all this documentary is going to do is just bring out more people. More people are going to come out. More people are going to feel courageous because now they're watching people on TV, like on this documentary, that have come forward. And that always happens.
Always.
One person rings the alarm, and next thing you know, look what happened with Bill Cosby. It's like a gazillion more people. Or if one woman blows the whistle on an infidelity, then all these other women come out and say, yeah, me too. I was with him too, So it's just what he needs to do is be quiet. And back to Marlon, my response would have been, I have no comment on this. I'm not touching this. I haven't seen the documentary. Even if he saw it, I saw it. I'm not saying anything, because when you talk, especially like this, even though he came on and said, I didn't defend him, I'm not defending him. When you say kick you when you're down, that sounds like a defense. It is no matter how, there's no way around that. Okay. So it's like, Marlon, I wouldn't have said a word. I would not, just like how when all of this started unfolding, there were a lot of people that were very quiet. When all this started unfolding and the house of cards, the house of Diddy cards started falling down, there were a lot of people, and I have a feeling there were people that were at the freak-offs that were very quiet. Nobody was talking. And then even the bishops that were we still haven't heard anything from them. They're not saying a word. So to me,
because they've been swallowed up by the silence. They've been swallowed up. They've been swallowed up by your complicity in a freak off. I think that bishop has been swallowed up. Swallowed up.
Exactly. And that's the next lesson for Ja Rule, because Ja, you've not been on deck for a while. So why are you even entering this group chat? Because all you're going to do is just keep yourself out of right. Like if he was to drop a song tomorrow, everything is going to be clouded with this right here, where he went and created this, where he's saying, let me be clear, this ain't about Diddy. He's already in jail serving time as he should be. Okay, so why are we talking? This is about this sucker Curtis acting like he's hip-hop moral savior, going on TV with them tight nasty suits and that big, jughead, when you are no different, allegedly. I wonder when it went wrong. They look so happy together. And apparently these images are AI, from what they're saying. That's what the word is saying. But my thing is, again, you're saying, you preface by saying you want to be clear that this isn't about it. He's in jail. He should be in jail. But then now you're going, and I'm 50. Why are we talking again?
Look, John. Let me just say, bro. You're not contemplating the reality of your position, sir. You're not contemplating the truth of your defeat at the hands of this man, sir. It's one of the most sound defeats in rap history. When you talk about epic rap beefs, you got a few on hand. You got Pac and Big. You got this one. You got Eminem versus MGK. And of course, infamously, Drake versus Kendrick. This is one of the historical L's, right? You got LL Cool J versus Cannabis, but this is one of them historical L's in the rap game. And you're going to have to sit it out and just deal with the fact that there's no coming back from, brother. And let me just say about what I want to revisit a point that you said before, Sister Emma.
Yeah.
When you talk about the fact that people are coming forward, that's because the fear has abated. And this is, and this is a very important thing. We're seeing this all across the world. This is a historical pattern that I'm seeing play out, whether you're dealing with Diddy, whether you're dealing with Epstein. Fear is a finite resource if you use it for power. Fear is a finite resource. Here's what happens. People, as the fear subsides, begin to redo the calculus of why they were afraid. There's people I was afraid of in middle school. I ain't afraid of them no more. There's the people perhaps I was afraid of in my teenage years that I'm not afraid of now. The fear calculus changes, right? And it doesn't matter how high up the power chain you are. So whether you're dealing with Epstein level power or you're dealing with street life, either the people who instill the fear die, themselves become incarcerated, or in some cases end up changing their lives. So if you were relying on a secret to stay in place based on who was afraid, it is only a matter of time if you are somebody who flexes fear, power, and intimidation on others before that power erodes. And if you built up a house of cards, I don't care how many billions of dollars is on top of it, you have a right to believe that it could and will fall in due time. Fear is a finite resource.
Yep. And it is extremely important that everybody sits this out, because
Spit all that out. Don't say nothing.
I watched that documentary, and I would have kept my mouth shut anyway. But after watching that documentary, I definitely wouldn't be saying don't kick him when he's down. I'm just going to go to the comments here. Isaac is saying, I hope 50 and Diddy both are successful New York rappers. Get rid of this feud. And I was going to say, that was another point I was going to make. Back in the day, like you were talking about all of these beefs, right? Back in the day, they would just get in the studio. They would get in the studio and they would spit out what it is they want to spit out, or there'd be rap battles with live with a bunch of people in the audience and everybody's cheering each other on. They're feeding off of the energy. But now it's a documentary. That's what it is now. That's literally the beef. And even when you talk about Kendrick and Drake is suing BMG, there's just lawsuits, and there's not get in the studio, man. What happened to that?
Well, first of all, in each of these beefs, whether it be Diddy versus 50 or Kendrick versus Drake, one of the people in the beef ain't a real rapper, first of all.
That's true. That is true.
And the second thing,
very true.
Right,
they're not like us.
Right. They don't really drop like Drake is not really a rapper per se.
Yeah.
A lot of his raps have been exposed to be written by ghostwriters. And Diddy's not a rapper. His stuff has been written by ghostwriters. And not only that, but in this specific case, you have bodies. There are dead. There are assaulted. It's not just, let's say, like for example, LL Cool J versus Cannabis. They're both actually rappers. There's both actually a situation where bar for bar, one could edge out over the other. With this situation, you have because let's talk about what might really be eating 50 Cent. We gonna do this allegedly. One of 50 baby moms has found herself in Diddy's stable. And that wouldn't surprise me
I
none.
saw that. Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me none because Diddy is a notorious mate poacher. Diddy poaches the mate of a guy that he either feels competitive with, or if we want to keep it a buck, might be low-key attracted to. We got to talk about that male escort at a different time and what was happening with the things that were released from the male escort. We're going to say that for a different time, but it's not things that guys who have a heterosexual orientation would generally do.
It's
And
not.
and so it's deeper than bars. It's deeper than lyrics. It's deeper than punchlines. You have personal baby mama issues. You have money, millions, billions of dollars at stake, whether it's residuals or lawsuits, and you got bodies on the floor. Let's talk
Yeah.
about these bodies on the floor. If you were present on Earth, because a lot of people are younger than this now, I'm realizing how old I actually am, and remember what the murder of Pac and Big did to the community.
And speaking of Pac and Big, there's rap beef there too. That's an
Right.
example.
Right. That was the first time we seen rap beef go deadly. That's the
Yes.
first time we seen it go deadly. And of course, there was rumors swirling around at the time. Some people thought Suge might have did it because Pac wanted his
Yeah.
residuals and Suge wasn't giving it. There was a lot of rumors at the time. But rap been for keeps for a minute. The rap game been for keeps for a minute. Eminem knocked MGK to a whole nother genre. He found himself wearing skirts, doing eyeliner, and rock and roll. You feel me? So rap been for keeps for a minute. But when you talk about lives on the line, and when you have credible witness testimonies tying someone to the murder of icons,
Yep.
it's deeper than bars now.
It's a problem. Yes.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, I just remember that day. And you know, that's actually speaks to our next one of the things we wanted to talk about. But before I go there, I just wanted to read what Real Look 74 said. Diddy met his match. Diddy is behind the scenes evil. 50 places, everything out in the open without feeling shame. And, you know, just talking about that, we're going to get back to that question, which is what happens? Why do some people end up going down this dark path? And the more money, the more power, the more
Problems.
evil, you know, it's like what? Yeah, right. More money, more problems, you know. You know, and when you have that kind of money, you can get the help you need. You can pay the best of the best therapists and what have you to work through whatever you got going on inside. So it's like some people, like 50, has created a, like, I mean, when I saw him walk, like I'm seeing him doing the junkets, like doing the interview circuit, and he's in these suits and clean cut and all of this stuff. I mean, he's not get rich or die trying anymore. And he's got all these TV shows, and you know, it's just like he is an example of somebody that didn't allow the weight of his past to dictate his future. And now he has a son. And I think he's setting a good example for his son of what hard work is and how you can turn your life around.
He got 2 kids, yeah.
Yeah. And so here's an example of somebody that was, you know, didn't have the best life, but made it. So it's like, why? Like, I don't know whether 50 got therapy. I don't know. Right. We don't know.
Right.
But all I'm saying is he managed to turn his life around. So it's what happens.
That's a great question.
It is the question of the day. Trini says she's watching the Diddy movie now. Yeah, we didn't want to spoil it for y'all. That's why we're not saying too much.
I'm trying not to say too much, but the fact is,
we're trying not to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it.
Yeah. So what's the difference? Back when I was a slam poet, we wrote a poem. Some members of my group, Panama Soweto and Ayende Russell, wrote a poem called "Of Cranes and Cobras." And the same story that creates a villain arc can also create a hero arc, right? If you look at it, Batman could have been a supervillain. His parents were murdered. He was already filthy rich. He could have gone down another path and become Gotham's worst nightmare. Instead, he's Gotham's savior. Of course, it's a fictional story, but the truth is the truth. I understand that, like, power is addictive. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. But also, you know, you have situations where money reveals a better character. Power can reveal a better character. And I think that it's about how aware somebody is and how compassionate they are about the impact that they have. But the truth is, as it stands today, it feels like it's the luck of the draw who will take a hard origin story and create a villain arc or a hero arc. But what I will say, this is teaching humanity something. This is teaching Black folks something. This is teaching anybody who's watching something. And I just want to share some insights that I got when it comes to like the universal revelations of a story like this. Number one, in due time, an imbalanced power will create a counterbalance. In due time, you have force meets counterforce. In due time, somebody who is a tyrant will create the circumstances where their tyranny will be destroyed by somebody. And you can never count out a courageous person in a time of fear. You can never count that out. In a time of fear, a courageous person is like a candle in the darkness. It may not be the sun, it may not be a spotlight, but that one little light can encourage others to light their wick with that light. And I really want folks to understand that the kind of power that Diddy flex, and let's talk about it from the Black community context, is the kind of power that we were taught to flex through our colonization and enslavement, because this is ultimately a power model that was set up by white men and white supremacists. The power that controls by fear and force, right? Sure, Africa had conquerors and things of that nature, but if you look at how certain kingdoms was expanded, it was a lot through trade, leverage, and mutual beneficial relationships. We learned the street life, and this is what I want y'all to understand. We learned the street life from white men who are the overseer class. Thomas Sowell, I don't like a lot of his work, but he has a great book called Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Could be the other way, white liberals, black rednecks. I think it's Black Rednecks, White Liberals, where it talks about we learn pimping, hustling, gangbanging from Irish poor folks, from Welsh poor folks, from Italian poor folks, who in the American context, when they were forming these urban centers, and like Martin Scorsese did a great movie about it called The Gangs of New York, starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
It was white people who was gangbanging first. It was white folks who was pimping first. They brought that with them.
Yep.
And when emancipation came and we were locked into urban centers during the Great Migration, we were proximal to the Dutch Schultzes and the Al Capones and the Butch Morans and all of them, right? The Bugs Morans and all of them. We learned street life from the overseers. We learned street life from the poor whites. And when they assimilated into whiteness, we took on street life and put that swag on it, put that rhythm on it, put that gangsta on it, put that funk on it. And now we feel like it's ours, but it's not indigenous to us. That's not our thing. We learned that from white men. And when we flex it like white men, if you look at how the white men have fallen when they flex it, this only leads to our destruction. We must find another way to be powerful, especially Black men.
Especially Black men, because the reality of Black men is always going to be different, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, R. Kelly is another example of.
Come on, dog.
Oh, R. Kelly, oh Lord. R. Kelly is another example of, you know, talk about, I don't want to say mighty, but you know, another powerful
Right.
Black man in the music game, you know, doing an apples to apples, you know, because Diddy's in the music game,
Right.
you know, doing similar kinds of things, you know, except with him, it was like forcible confinement and all of that other stuff that was going on. And then you think about the Harvey Weinstein, for example, of the world. And the difference in the way everything is spun in the media and the narratives and all of that other stuff, the difference in the way that they're convicted. I mean, who talks about Harvey Weinstein anymore?
Right.
Nobody. Who's making a documentary?
I mean, there's a couple of them, but like nobody of note like 50 Cent.
That's
think
what that's what I
right,
mean. It's like
right.
it's not exactly. So it's
Mm.
like we have to look at that too, which is, and R. Kelly is another man whose life wasn't great, you know.
Right.
But then I think about people like Common, who also
Mm.
wrote a book and his life wasn't great either. But
Mhm.
and maybe there are some things about him that I think there's a failure to launch, and I think that may have something to do with
Mhm.
his life or whatever. But still, he's a successful actor and
Oh, yeah.
musician. Yeah, so it's like it's I don't think we can really get to the root of why it goes this way. I think what you said though is spot on. Like what you just said, how you broke it down is so spot on.
Well,
But
well,
it's
thank you.
it's one of those things where it's like, look, guys, you are in a position where you've got children,
Right.
you have money, you
Uh-huh.
have everything that you want,
Mhm.
or you can attain anything that you want.
Right.
What goes on inside of you that you are not able to look at your life and look at how blessed you are, as opposed
Mhm.
to a lot of people in the world that don't live in that tax bracket, okay?
Yeah.
You know, you can go to sleep at night and not worry about a single bill. Like, I
Mhm.
don't even like, what is that life, right?
I want
Um,
that life. I'm trying to get that life right now. I mean, look.
right?
Right, right. So I have been blessed to be adjacent to certain people who are national celebrities, right? And what I will say is you'll be surprised what money won't fix. You'd be
That's it.
surprised. Um, Money often doesn't change you, it reveals who you truly were. And the only thing that changed is the mask. And money is enablers. One of the things that I want us to be careful of is, and this is something that I have to really think about as I self reflect. There by the grace go I when it comes to like what would happen to any of us. Let's take Michael Jackson for example. Michael Jackson had insecurities about his face. Michael
Mhm.
Jackson had insecurities about his skin and his hair, right?
Yep.
A lot of people I know have insecurities about their face, skin, and hair, but what Michael had that they don't got is money. Michael had access, the kind of access to excess that these power players have. A lot of us who's sitting here in judgment ain't no different. We just broke. A lot of us ain't no different. We just broke. But I want you to think about what would happen if your worst proclivities could be played out in real life. A lot of us think that we'd be different. But see, here's what when we talk about pressure changes, and somebody alluded to this in the documentary, Diddy was at a different altitude, right? And when you go to a higher altitude, the pressure changes, it expands, it releases. So the things that might have kept your darker self in place, your lower self in place, your more carnal self in place, well, now, shoot, I can call this girl to do this and this other human to do this, and I can explore all of these things. And since he was a child, he never saw nobody reap consequences and repercussions for hurting somebody. And now you at a new altitude. You got money for money's sake. You got money for days. You got money to the point where your great grandkids will never be broke. What you gonna do with it? I got addictions. Why would you work on them? Just indulge. You see what I'm saying? So let's be
Yeah, but
careful.
I don't know if I know you're in theory.
Maybe you wouldn't, Emma, because you're actually a decent person to the core. I'm
Well, and
just saying
that's my
a
whole
lot of
point.
people.
Character. It speaks to
Right.
character, right? Yeah.
Character means what you're made of. By definition,
Yeah.
character means the composition of your being. If you ask about the character of a cake, it's what's baked into it, right? And so he just has some weird stuff baked into him. A
Yeah.
lot of y'all got weird stuff baked into you too. Now, not to say that you are exactly as bad as Diddy. I ain't saying that. But what I'm saying is a lot of us are pursuing the kind of wealth that Diddy has. Be careful when the pressure changes. That's the morality tale here.
But that's
That's the
when you have to
warning
make
here.
sure that you've got the right people around you too. Like you got to surround yourself with the right people and people that you can trust, because if I know because everybody has stuff. Everybody
Right.
has stuff.
Right.
Everybody has stuff.
Mhm.
If we all went and sat in front of a therapist, they would
For sure.
unpack some stuff, okay? Stuff
Hey.
that we wouldn't even know. It was like, what? Like if they
Right.
held that mirror, we all have stuff,
For sure.
right? But like the R. Kellys and the Michael Jackson talked openly about, his daddy. So there was definitely some daddy issues there for sure,
All day.
and then also just not really having a life as
Mm.
not being able to be a kid. So
Right.
that's why he had the big theme park in his home and chimpanzees and
Have you
all of
seen
these,
my
and then
childhood?
and hanging out with boys and all of that other stuff, So
Right.
everybody has stuff.
Right.
But I don't disagree with you though. I don't disagree. So, they always say there are a couple of things in life that can happen to you that will really change your character, and money is a big one. That's why they say money is the root to all evil. Think about people who have won the lottery. I just saw the other day this man won the lottery, and it was one of those workplace pools, and
Wow.
he refused to give the money. So he's being sued. So he took the millions and he went about his business. So you know what I mean? And he probably
Mhm.
might have been the nicest guy in the office.
Mhm.
And
But the
that's why they
pressure
trusted him
changed.
to go pick up the check.
The
Right?
pressure changed.
Right.
The pressure changed. A lot of our morality, and I'm not saying all of it, it's worth to reflect on this documentary to do that
Yes.
self-reflection.
Yes.
But a lot of our morality is pressure dependent. A lot of our goodness is option dependent.
Yeah.
And so you looking at somebody, it's easy to be like, Diddy, a monster. He fully irredeemable. Might be true. I'm saying it might be true. That's not the morality tale here. The morality tale is what you find in the mirror here. The morality tale is like, look here, man. Given trauma, access, and power with consistently having modeled no consequences for indulging in vice, where would you be? Where would you be? Good question to ask yourself. For a lot of us, the answer is I'm standing 10 toes down on what's good. I will never harm another human being like that. I don't care how much money I got. Give me some money and I'll prove it. Cool. In due time, the universe just may grant that wish. Just may. And I would be very happy if you took more of a 50 Cent route and use your money, because what did 50 do? 50 paid a lot of these people who Diddy refused to pay, including the videographers who showed him behind the scenes. He took care of a lot of the cases of the people who had pending cases. He was able to use his money quite a lot. Omari Hardwick talks about how when they were first filming Power, 50 went out of his way to do some good things for him financially before everything got to moving. You feel me? So it's like, I think that 50 is both shrewd and calculating, but also has maintained enough of his moral character. And by the way, I don't like 50's politics. A lot of the things that 50 be talking about, I don't be talking about. I've done videos about like 50.
He's the ultimate troll.
He be trolling people, but it ain't even the trolling that I'm talking about. There's a lot of things, like, for example, his standing against Zoran Mamdani in New York. I'm like, oh, no. This is the change that New York actually needs right now. You know what I'm saying? What was you saying? What, Eric Adams? No. So anyway, but that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't get down with everything about 50, straight up. But in this respect, I may not like his politics. I got to respect his gangster.
Yeah. I mean, look, people can say that 50, you are not, get off your moral soapbox and all that other stuff, but and people are speculating that, he's guilty of some things too, so he's got to be careful. Listen, if 50, I guess, was guilty of something, I don't think that he would be doing what he's doing, but I could be wrong. Anyway, nevertheless, they always say a glass house, you shouldn't be throwing stones, and you check out your own backyard. So a lot of people are saying that. I would just say to those people, just be quiet.
You don't want to look. You don't want to be out here smelling like baby oil at this moment. You don't want to be smelling like baby oil right now.
No.
All right?
No, let us not do that. I'm gonna go through the comments here. Sebastian says, don't follow the white man's model. Trini 2 says, I'm waiting on the Weinstein Netflix movie. I'm just saying. Yep. And also waiting on Danny Masterson Netflix too. And then Smokestack Gaming says facts. I say the same thing. Look at what taught them criminality, the Wild Bills, the Real McCoys, and all that outlaw Jesse James. Yep. Judah says he likes Common. Exactly. Common, you know, he's to me, he's cool in my books. Where is the Polanski Netflix special?
Hey, Roman
Go down
Polanski,
the list.
straight up.
Real
Straight
Book
up.
says bingo to you, and Ren says morals, values, self-love, and integrity will always be free and don't cost a thing. I agree with that. And you know, and that's the other thing too. I think there is a colossal amount of insecurity in these
For
people
sure.
as well.
For sure.
Colossal amount of insecurity. Like they literally do not love themselves, because if you loved yourself, you wouldn't be even putting like all the drugs that he's pumped in his body, and you know, just the fact that you can get up and say, I'm going to put some serious hands on these women, I'm going to violate these women and these men, and just, you know, and with his sons in the like around
Let's
him.
talk about that. Let's talk about the sons, right? Because number one, if somebody was going to exact vengeance on 50, it would be one of the sons. But two, let's look at where I started this whole thing. The generational effect. Melvin Combs is killed in 1972, setting forth the domino effects that's now we're seeing in 2025, 2026, and beyond. We have the grandsons of Melvin Combs, Justin and King, sitting up here doing what their father has done, Sean has done, engaged in his enterprise. According to the testimony of Lil Rod, Justin was in there shooting the friend, we only know him as G, 2 times in the bathroom. We have a situation where you have a generational curse that has gone down the lineage. We talk a lot about lineage here. You have to think of yourself as the ancestor that will break generational curses and create new generational light, create new generational gifts, blessings that will cascade down further to your bloodline, and how to protect and cultivate those things. And we see none of that going here with Diddy. Look what money can't buy. I can't imagine if my pops, right? Because my father's a business owner. Shout out to Big Sid Wilson. Shout out to Big Sid Wilson. Gonna get me emotional about my dad, man, because we've been through it. But Pops ultimately ends up standing on business. My dad was a street dude that got himself upright. Street dude that got himself upright. Number one, I'd be a different person had my dad been killed when I was a little boy. Two, my dad wasn't killed, and I watched my dad transform himself. Had my dad been involved in a criminal enterprise, I don't see how I wouldn't have gotten involved.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, you are a product of your environment.
A lot of ways, yo. A lot of ways.
And when in that documentary, trying not to spoil it, because there are a bunch of people now saying that they're gonna go. There's one person said they're not even a Netflix subscriber, but they are now. I mean, Netflix needs to give us some kind of referral bonus.
Netflix, we doing free advertising for you, dog. What's up?
Can we get a check, please?
Can we get a check, Netflix? What's
We're getting subscribers for you, Netflix.
Straight up.
So, but yeah, like you're a product of your environment
in many ways.
It's kind of hard. It's just like my father used to be a gangster. My father was a gangster back in Ghana. He was nothing like before he got saved. Now he's saved. But I was subjected to a lot of partying, a lot of those kinds of things, and I became a club girl. I was out there. Party,
you was in the club,
girl. I said, girl. I said,
hey,
bro. I was in the club Thursday to Sunday.
Let go.
You're a product of your environment, so you're right. Well, we only have 2 minutes. I feel like I could go on for another hour. So my final words are this: is that I would just say to anybody in the, you know, the hip hop, R&B, whatever, I would just be quiet. Just sit this out. Just sit this out. 50 is going to do what 50 is going to do. And if 50 has any skeletons in his closet, let 50 deal with them if they come out. That's what I have to say. And then for Diddy, I really hope that he does get reformed. You know, there are a lot of people that go behind bars and they come out saved, sanctified, baptized, and repented and all that stuff. So Godspeed to him. What have you got?
My thing is this: Black folks, let's redefine power. because the way that Diddy, R. Kelly, and all these other white men have taught us to do power ain't it. This is not the example we need to follow. Let's start creating power from within towards without. And I'm going to leave it there.
There you have it, family. Emma Ansah, Theo E.J. Wilson.
Let's go.
And thank you so much for hanging out with us. Appreciate you engaging with us. And we'll definitely be back again on another hot topic. There's so much
to
talk about. Okay,
right.
So much. But again, we thank you. Just another reminder, if you haven't already downloaded the African Diaspora News Channel app, please do so. Head over to your Google or Apple store. You will not be disappointed. You will see content like this and much more exclusive content you won't see anywhere else. It's by us. It's for us. What else do we need in this life? So make sure you download that app. And until next time, we shall see you again. Until then, please be safe, everyone. Bye.
Peace.